I was born into the cattle business. For generations before me, my family had cattle, and I grew up with commercial cattle and some registered Simmental cattle. So you can say that I was bred to be in the cattle business. The main goal of our operation at Bub Ranch is to produce environmentally sound cattle that are just really functional in our part of the country. I absolutely love ranching, the diversity that it offers. You know, we get to see calves born, we get to work with customers, get to be around the animals and out in God's handiwork every day, and it just has allowed me to raise my family in a way that I think is wholesome and pure and natural, and I just think this is where God wants me to be.
Hello and welcome to The American Rancher. I'm Pam Minnick. As cattle go to grass across the country, proactive ranchers are thinking about ways to reduce heat stress and improve performance throughout the summer months. On this episode, sponsored by VitaFirm, we'll follow the story of one Missouri ranching family who learned firsthand the toll that heat stress and fescue can take on a cattle operation when her family first moved south from Michigan to grow their herd.
My family has been in the cattle business forever, my whole life. My dad is a German from Russia. They had cattle back in Russia. Cattle here, my dad grew up on a cattle farm, so naturally it was passed on down through us. We've had commercial cattle for a long time, and as a kid growing up, I had Simmental cattle. What the focus was on commercial cattle. So when I got a little bit older and was married and had a couple of kids, decided to veer into the Angus business. Purchased my first couple Angus cattle from Dave Nichols in Iowa, and picked up a few more along the way. And then our family decided, being my parents and my brother and myself, to have enough Angus cattle to raise our own bulls for our commercial operation. When we ended up with a few more bulls than we needed, we began to sell them to the neighbors. And one thing led to another, and now we're primarily an Angus seed stock farm with a few other breeds that are kind of coming on the scene as of late. Well, we started with Angus cattle to breed bulls primarily for our commercial herd, and realized very quickly that there just was more money in black cattle at the market. So we started with the Angus cattle, and as we progressed and sold more bulls, we continued with the purebred operation.
Bub Ranch is a registered Angus seed stock operation that my family started about 25 years ago. Our primary focus is marketing forage-developed commercial bulls to commercial producers here in the Ozarks and the surrounding regions.
The main goal of our operation at Bub Ranch is to produce environmentally sound, functional cattle that can help improve our commercial producers' herds, helping to make them a little more money at the market, help them in the ways of providing some cattle that have some longevity, some eye appeal, some attractiveness, cattle that are just really functional in our part of the country. We learned from moving the cow herd from Michigan to southern Missouri that there's a definite difference in environment when you move from the north to the south. Our operation was in Michigan, and my family, being my dad, my brother, and myself, and my mother, wanted to expand our cattle operation and chose southern Missouri as the place to do it. There's lots of grass here. The winters were much more mild. The cost of production was much less, so we moved to southern Missouri. This place was founded and built by Frank Wesson of the Wesson Gun Empire in the early 70s, and it was originally a Charolais ranch. Frank did all kinds of neat things to bring Charolais to light in a time when there was very few in the United States. He was also a very good neighbor. He was an innovator of new technology, and this was considered one of the premier seed stock marketing facilities in the country at the time. Our primary market is commercial bull buyers, and those buyers still like attractive, sound cattle with some longevity. So our operation, kind of wrapped up in a nutshell, are cattle that will perform in this part of the country, last a long time, and hopefully add enough performance traits to help that commercial cattleman make the most out of his dollar. Performing in this country, in our opinion, means cattle that can go out with a healthy rumen and convert grass into pounds of beef. It also means that we have to deal with heat and fescue grass because that's our primary form of forage. Fescue grass, as we all know, have some toxins that are very detrimental to cattle. They're vasoconstrictors. There are certain bloodlines of cattle that just cannot handle this. We sort those cattle out, we find the ones that do, and then we have to find cattle that can convert that fescue grass without having the adverse effect of fescue foot, short tails, short ears, hair coat.
We definitely look for cattle that are easy fleshing, that can make it on as little supplement as possible. The cow herd is supplemented in the winter using usually some form of supplement tub. However, during the summer months, all they have available to them is forage and mineral, and that's it. And so that's one of the traits we look for is easy fleshing. We also like them to be slick-haired, good-footed. We're in really rugged territory here. Our ranch is one of the smoother, better laying pieces of ground, but we have cooperator herds that run on really rough terrain in northern Arkansas, down in the Boston Mountains and those areas. And so we have cattle down there. We understand what it takes for those cattle to be able to survive in the Ozarks. They have to have clean joints, they have to have good feet, they have to be sound.
Well, we're looking for cattle that not only are born without assistance, wean as heavy as possible in our part of the country with the heat and humidity that we face, cattle that can endure the heat and humidity, that are a little bit slicker haired type cattle, cattle that are also very attractive, nice udders, good sound feet, all of the things that everybody wants in a package that's fit for this part of the country.
The heat and humidity is definitely a challenge that we have to address every summer when it comes around.
But it is a time of year of transition. The cattle are chasing grass right now. They're coming off of hay in our part of the country. And so it is early spring, and it's time that we make some management decisions to decide how we're going to go into the summer. And those management decisions include changing the type of mineral that the cattle are getting right now, because it's been much warmer this spring than it's ever been in the history that we've been here. So we're thinking about making those changes a bit sooner this year than we traditionally make them.
While genetic selection has been critical to the success of the program at Bub Ranch, when we come back, we'll learn about the practices they use to manage heat stress in their herd and learn how one unique product has made a real difference in their operation. Stay tuned for more of The American Rancher, brought to you by VitaFerm.
We want a trust relationship with our customers. We want them to know that we care about them, that our products work, and we'll stand behind them.
To come back and purchase, to bid and buy their customers' cattle, they're very, very dedicated to a customer's product, and I think that creates a lot of longevity.
98, that's 63,000, thank you.
Still using ineffective fly tags on your cattle? It's time to eliminate fleas, ticks, flies, lice, and parasites, and at the same time, give them a shiny coat, making them more valuable. One fly tag can cost $2.50, but you can do this all for about a nickel a head. Introducing the Cow Sprayer, designed and built in the U.S. The Cow Sprayer is portable, solar-powered, and comes with a 25 or 40-gallon tank. Eliminate parasites for about 5 cents a head with the Cow Sprayer. Cowsprayer.com.
Welcome back to The American Rancher. When Holly Meyer moved to the Ozarks with her family 25 years ago, they witnessed the effects of heat stress and fescue toxicity firsthand. While their focus on identifying and utilizing the right genetics for the environment has been paramount, Progressive management practices and implementing technology in their operation have also played an important role. In this segment, we'll learn how one new product has made a real difference for Bub Ranch. We'll also meet Alan Lee, National Sales Manager for Biozyme, the makers of VitaFirm products. A native of the Ozark region, Alan understands the adverse effects of heat stress and has been helping producers manage these challenges in their operations for 15 years.
There are a lot of environmental challenges in this part of the world in terms of beef cattle production that a lot of people don't understand. You know, a couple that come to mind are insects, and then obviously fescue is certainly something that you have to pay attention to.
So we were very excited to move the cattle herd to southern Missouri comparative to Michigan. The weather was much warmer, there's grass everywhere, seemed like the best thing ever. So we put those cattle in the truck, moved them to South Missouri, and the first year the weaning weight suffered about 75 pounds a calf average. That just wasn't acceptable to my dad, who was a stickler on records. So we started to delve into why this would happen. Why did those cattle perform poorly in this part of the country? And we attributed that to heat, humidity, and of course fescue grass, and some of the cattle not being able to handle the toxicity of fescue grass. The weaning weights were off, the hair coats were rough. The cattle just appeared to be stressed. They were in the pond a lot. They just didn't do well.
Heat stress is very detrimental in beef production at times. You know, it can cause many things such as weight loss. It can cause a decrease in your conception rates. It can simply cause just decreased performance in general. There's many types of that. It's just not simply the temperature outside, but when you encounter some of these things such as fescue toxicity and things of that nature, it starts to play a really big role.
Cattle on fescue tend to have rougher hair coats. They don't handle the heat as well in terms of breed back rates. So we need to find ways to manage fescue grass because it also has very important good qualities.
Fescue toxicity or endophytes do propose a problem. They basically restrict blood flow. Now on the other hand, fescue is an awesome forage if it's managed accurately and correctly. It's a forage that has a long growing season. It's a forage that's very plentiful. It puts on lots of tons per acre if it's managed correctly. So there's a lot of forage there available to the cattle, but certainly one that takes a little bit of management and management practices to utilize to the best of its ability, if you will.
It has a very good growing season. It's very plentiful, it's very hardy, so the fescue grass handles this environment very well. We have to match the cattle to the fescue grass and use whatever tools we can to help them overcome the fescue. So when we're trying to overcome obstacles that are presented from fescue and heat problems, one of the first things we do that we look for is to cull genetically. And then we need to use the tools around us to help us with the rest of it. So anything we can do to find a way to reduce the heat stress in those cattle, such as the heat mineral, we've used that because anything that will enhance their breed back rate, their conception rate, their ability to stay pregnant is a tool that is just super important when we're managing fescue cattle.
Heat mineral is simply a combination of 3 or 4 things in one package. You've got a full vitamin and mineral pack that's very highly fortified. It's got an organic trace mineral pack in it. It's got garlic in it, a natural garlic extract for insect control. It's got AmmoFerm in it, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about because this is simply a product that will help bring a return to your bottom line. AmmoFerm is a direct-fed microbial that acts as a natural prebiotic, if you will. It's going to encourage more intake in these cattle. It's going to allow for more fiber digestion and digestibility. And it's also going to allow for more nutrient absorption. All of this combined equals basically a more efficient, higher performing animal on the nutrition side. And the AmmoFerm, and coupled with the extract that we put into the heat mineral pack, there's some synergy there, if you will, and it's almost a 1 + 1 = 3 type situation. So when you put this entire package together in a free choice mineral, there's nothing but upside for certain parts of the country.
So my son Danny runs our small feed store in Thayer, Missouri, and he called home one day and said that he had a VitaFirm sales rep in there discussing with him the heat mineral.
They really thought we should take a look at it. something that would really kind of fit our store. I was trying to carry more value-added products, and they really wanted us to try it. And so we went ahead and got in, I think at first I got in a pallet of Conceptate and a pallet of heat mineral. And kind of like everything else we sell down there at the feed store, we like to use what we sell.
So he called home to discuss it with me. We're always willing to listen and look to anything that might help us. So that was around the 1st of August, and the best we could do for a scientific trial was to take 2 sets of cows on fescue grass, put 1 set on the heat, leave the other set on the mineral that they were on, and see what happens.
In about 3 weeks, the cattle that were on the heat mineral had turned their coat from, you know, kind of rust color on the end of their hair that's usually associated with fescue. They turned black. If they were carrying any excess hair, they'd slicked it off. They seemed to have gained some weight. Just really saw a big difference in a short amount of time.
We went ahead and switched all the cows to VitaFirm heat mineral. We sold it to people that we knew that were interested in this sort of technology, folks that are looking for ways to make their cow herd better, folks that might have been having problems with cattle and fescue.
When we come back, we'll learn more about VitaFirm Heat and see how it's helped operations across the country alleviate heat stress and increase performance. Stay tuned for more of The American Rancher, brought to you by VitaFirm.
Did you know that your cattle can begin to feel the effects of heat stress anytime the temperature reaches 70 degrees or above? VitaFirm Heat is a fully fortified vitamin and mineral supplement with the Amifirm advantage that reduces heat stress in cattle by lowering body temperature. As an added bonus, Heat contains garlic, a natural insect repellent. It's about to be hot out there. Less heat stress means better performance. Keep them cool. Keep them grazing. VitaFirm Heat.
Superior Livestock is proud to announce a new partnership with Biozyme Inc. Since 1995, value-added calf programs have created premiums when calves sell on Superior's video auctions. Traditionally, when ranchers think of adding value, it is derived from a quality health program dependent upon vaccinations. But together, Superior and Biozyme are putting a new twist on creating premiums for healthier cattle through a mineral supplement program. Healthier cattle are more profitable, and now cattle that have been fed a VitaFirm or GainSmart Amifirm-based mineral supplement for a minimum of 45 days prior to auction will receive the VitaFirm or GainSmart value-added logo in Superior's catalogs and on-screen as the cattle sell. VitaFirm raised targets cow-calf producers and is for calves that are raised on a VitaFirm fed dam and or was fed a VitaFirm mineral themselves during preconditioning for a minimum of 45 days prior to the auction and through delivery. GainSmart targets stocker, feeder, and backgrounding operators and will recognize calves that have been fed a GainSmart mineral for a minimum of 45 days prior to auction and through delivery. For more information, go to superiorlivestock.com or call 800-422-2117.
Welcome back to The American Rancher. This episode is brought to you by VitaFirm. Let's return to Bub Ranch in Koshkonong, Missouri, where springtime is bringing changes to the operation. We'll see how they adjust their management practices to deal with the challenges of each season and learn how they plan to weather the challenges of the ranching business for many seasons to come.
So this time of year, as you've seen, the cattle today are coming off of winter and we're transitioning into spring. The cattle coming into this time of year are on a Conceptate mag mineral at the moment, and in a few short weeks we will transition them over to heat mineral, and they'll spend the rest of the summer through about the 15th of October on the heat mineral.
It's really fun when a new customer or a current customer tries heat for the first time, because it's within a couple of 3 weeks that we'll get a phone call, them talking about the cattle are up and grazing, they're not standing around in the ponds, they're not under the shade trees like they normally would see in these higher temperature times of the year. They also take notice of the insect repellent part of the deal. Lots of people in this part of the world have commented when they called me about the fly control situation. The flies aren't bothering the cattle as bad. The cattle seem to be calmer, they seem to be more comfortable. And this is true in fescue situations or in areas of the country where they're experiencing temperature heat, if you will. Heat is a product that can be utilized from border to border and coast to coast. It's simply a product that has a fit certain times of the year wherever you're at.
Everybody that we had use it saw the similar results that we saw. Within a couple weeks, their cattle slicked off. They seemed to gain a little bit of weight. They just seemed to be healthier looking. And I've had commercial producers who have told me their first time breed back rate has jumped from 50% to 80% in terms of they're getting more of those calves in the first round of calving. We've had guys who've gotten in the 90 percentile range on breed back when they preg check in the fall. And so those have been very measurable results that we've heard about from our customers.
For a lot of years, we have sold a lot of mineral products in fescue country that we manufactured at Biozyme. And the Amaferm that we put in our mineral products that we manufacture will certainly help offset some of the toxins with fescue. But for like an operation that we're at here today in southern Missouri at Bub's, when we designed, our nutrition team designed this heat product mineral pack, it was just like a gift from above, if you will, because not only do you get the benefits of Amaferm, you get a fully fortified mineral and vitamin pack, and then we've put an extract in there that acts as a vasodilator that absolutely helps with blood flow in these cattle. And when you combine the extract, which is made up of cloves, cinnamon, and chili peppers, with the Amaferm, it's almost like a situation of 1 + 1 = 3. I mean, there's some synergy there. These operations in fescue country are getting a tremendous amount of return on what they're doing because these cattle are just simply outperforming.
So in our operation today, we use heat mineral anytime the average temperature here in southern Missouri is above 70 degrees, which is quite a bit for us. Usually about the end of April through the end of October, everything on the farm is on heat mineral, from our brood cows to our donor cows. Even our bulls that we develop are developed on heat mineral, and we've definitely seen a difference in our bulls that we're developing through the summer months and how well they've shed off, how black they've looked, and how easy they've gained weight.
I think something that folks probably don't pay enough attention to is really good mineral in your bull development. Of course, not everybody develops bulls like we do. Some folks just have commercial operations and they sell the calves at weaning, but when you're in a bull development environment where we're selling these cattle on to someone else, it's really important to keep them on either a concept-aid mineral, and then as they go into summer, especially those fall bulls that we're going to semen check in the fall, if they're on a heat mineral while they're going through that development phase in the heat, it's really important to us that they pass their semen check the first time around. It is just too costly to have to recheck bulls. So we try to do everything physically possible to help them achieve that.
I think one of the things I've seen getting to work the feed store, being at the counter there every day, is that there's a lot of people who still don't use some of the technology and the management practices that I think are going to become even more crucial for an operation to stay profitable in the future. So maybe it's just defined calving seasons or keeping records on weights, and then of course the value-added minerals and all that stuff go with it, genomics testing and things like that. I think in the future it's going to become even more crucial that those things be implemented for an operation to be profitable.
The greatest satisfaction that I get out of the products that we at Biozyme manufacture is when I get a call from our customers when they talk about the increased performance or weaning weights or conception rates in their cattle. And I know at the end of the day, the quality, sustainable products that we put out the door simply makes the life of our customer easier.
The cattle business for me is more than just a job, it's a lifestyle. I've been raised in the ranching industry, and it's about family, it's about the people, it's about making an impact. The benefits of working alongside your family far outweigh the challenges in my mind. I have a lot of respect for my mom because her and my grandparents started this whole deal really from scratch. We'd had commercial cattle forever, but when we first started raising registered cattle, it was only for the sake of us breeding our own bulls, and it's kind of ballooned into so much more than that. And I don't even think she knew what it was going to turn into when she started 25 years ago.
I absolutely love ranching. The diversity that it offers. We get to see calves born, we get to work with customers, get to be around the animals and out in God's handiwork every day, and it just has allowed me to raise my family in a way that I think is wholesome and pure and natural, and I just think this is where God wants me to be.
Most certainly. If you'd like to learn more about VitaFirm Heat, just give them a call or log on to vitafirm.com and find the dealer nearest you. We sure hope you enjoyed this program. Be sure to check us out at theamericanrancher.com or find us on Facebook. For the entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.